Hey, I'm Lily Pixels. If you're the adventurous type like me, then get in on the public's taste for adventure for a chance to win epic trips and exclusive access to Uncharted 1. Get your coat on 30-ounce drinks today. Publix, where winners eat.
Man, 2007 was such a weird time. Oh, hey guys, it's your girl, Little Miss 7th Gen Enthusiast, back at it again on the PlayStation 3. Where the fuck are the games on this thing? Now, if you know me, you'll know that one of my favorite video game series of all time, despite not talking about it on my channel yet, is Uncharted. These games were revolutionary for their time, and they're looked back on very fondly. Well, most of the time. And now, I'm finally here, getting off my ass and ready to do an Uncharted retrospective, starting with the first game released way back in 2007, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. And man, for how critically acclaimed and overall beloved this series is, this first game, well, this one kind of sucks. Okay, listen, I only say that because it's not as good as the other games. This game still has its merits, and I'll definitely call out any positives I see, but before we get to that, let's set the mood. Naughty Dog, the developers of this franchise, was previously known for making certified scrimblow slop. I mean that affectionately. You know, stuff like Jak and Daxter and, Sonic the Hedgehog. Moving over to the PlayStation 3, Naughty Dog decided to do something out of their comfort zone. A narrative-driven third-person shooter with the goal being to replicate the feeling of an action-adventure movie a la Indiana Jones. Again, if you know me, you'll also know I love Indiana Jones. I got into Uncharted when I was doing that old indie retrospective, and for this video, I'll be using the same method of playing these games, which is overall the most definitive way of playing, the Nathan Drake collection. Graphical enhancements, no gimmicky gyro sections, all in one convenient package. A perfect remaster. Thank you for your service, Blue Point Games, and rest in peace. But with that out of the way, here's Uncharted 1, Drake's Fortune. When we start a new game, we open with a quote from Sir Francis Drake to set the tone of this adventure. There must be a beginning of any great matter, but the continuing unto the end until it be thoroughly finished yields the true glory. We get this cool shot of Sir Francis Drake's tomb underwater before transitioning over the surface in this camera POV, introducing us to our leads, Elena Fisher and the one and only Nathan Drake. Elena here is a journalist filming a documentary on Francis Drake on this boat off the coast of Panama, who is apparently Nathan's long-lost ancestor. Emphasis on apparently. If you know, you know. Anyway, things start off relatively normal until the hook of the story happens.
Well, I did do my research, and apparently Francis Drake didn't have any children.
Well, history can be wrong, you know. For example, you can't defile an empty coffin.
What the hell?
Yep, Francis Drake faked his death, but the coffin isn't empty per se. Inside lies a box containing his journal, starting our heroes off on a quest to find some buried treasure. But not before being ambushed by pirates.
Shouldn't we call the authorities or something?
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, but we don't exactly have a permit to be here.
What?
Yeah, so unless you want to end up in a Panamanian jail, we should probably handle this ourselves.
What's worse?
You obviously haven't been in a Panamanian jail. Do you know how to use one of these?
Yeah, it's like a camera. You point and shoot, right?
Good girl.
This is the combat tutorial in this game, mainly teaching us about gunplay and melee fighting. Let's put a pin on this for now, but don't fret, we will come back to this later. Anyway, the scene ends when the pirates pull out a goddamn rocket launcher on us, and we're rescued by the best character in the whole series, Victor goddamn Sullivan. Professional old man, part-time chain smoker, full-time womanizer with tons of experience in the treasure hunting field and a fair bit of shady connections. And with our three leads united, I can take a small detour detour and talk about this game's strongest attribute by far, the cutscenes. This game had one goal in mind, which was getting us to care about Nate, Elena, and Sully, and they pass with flying colors. They do so by having great chemistry and writing. Nolan North, Emily Rose, and Richard McGonigal are perfect for this band of crackers, and it helps that they're also the ones doing the motion capture, so it's like they were filming a movie. The hand-animated facial expressions don't look half bad either, and they would only improve going forward before switching over to facial capture in Uncharted 4. Even if the cutscenes can come off as more scripted than the other games, they still showcase the characters' personalities and relationships very well, like Elena's uptight attitude or Nathan's autism. Seriously, this dude loves treasure.
So look, when Drake sailed into the Pacific, he took the Spanish fleet completely by surprise. He captured their ships, he took all their maps, their letters, their journals, and he recorded everything in this diary.
So this...
But when he got back to England, Queen Elizabeth confiscated all of his charts and logbooks, including this one, and then swore his entire crew to silence.
Yeah, so this...
You see, Drake discovered something on that voyage, Sully. Something so secret and so valuable, they couldn't risk it getting out.
All right, Nate, just pretend for a minute that I don't really care about any of that stuff and cut to the chase, would you?
Man only interested in the climax. He must be a real hit with the ladies.
Never had any complaints.
A quick look at the journal shows that Francis Drake was looking for the lost city of gold, El Dorado. A find like this could land Nate and Sully billions. So of course it's time to start the adventure and pull a funny prank on Elena by leaving her on the dock. So now Nate and Sully start their treasure expedition in a jungle that the diary told them to go to, I guess. I think. I don't know. Anyway, Nate and Sully are on the trail. They share some funny quips together.
You know, this reminds me. I ever tell you about the time I pawned a phony 16th century Santa off on Pablo Escobar? Risky move, but by the time he figured it out, I was... Nate, are you even listening to me?
Hanging on every word.
And this jungle also introduces us to a couple of cool treasures lying around. I'll be sure to keep my eyes peeled for them as I aim to collect all 60 in this game. So anyway, the pair make it to these ruins, which acts as our platforming tutorial before they find the entrance to an ancient underground temple. Which means it's finally time to start talking about this game's gameplay. Uncharted 1's gameplay is very interesting to me because it ranges from serviceable to... Let me explain. First of all, the platforming is actually pretty good in my opinion. It's not perfect, like, it can be a little janky sometimes.
Out here!
Okay, scratch that, very janky, but it does its job just fine. Nate's normal jump is pretty grounded in reality, aka it's nothing special, but it revolves around vaulting over things, jumping over gaps, climbing around on everything like a monkey, all that fun stuff. When I played this game for the first time, well, I didn't like it, but I definitely saw how they could improve the formula for the sequel, with the platforming showing a good foundation to work on, and that's about it. Yeah, Uncharted as a series isn't really known for having nuanced gameplay, except debatably 4. It's just good enough, you know what I mean? Uncharted has a lot of appealing aspects like the presentation and writing, but the core gameplay is just okay. Something downright embarrassing about this game, though, is the puzzles, or lack thereof. Look at this, locked door on the ground, buttons with symbols on the top. Just pull up the journal to see the correct order to push them in. At that point, why don't you just cover the buttons with obnoxious yellow paint? Holy fuck, this is awesome! This is what the series is best known for, big stupid action sequences that allow Naughty Dog to flex their mastery with the PS3's hardware. Oh, it's over already. Yeah, unlike the other games, Drake's Fortune is very light on spectacle set pieces, which is honestly understandable, but it begs the question, why would you place a big set piece here and not in something like, I don't know, the final boss? Especially since the final boss is ass, but we'll eat that ass when we get there. Nate and Sully make it to the center of the temple. Apparently, the temple was built around a large golden statue with scribbles on the walls showing people worshipping it. There's no mistaking it, El Dorado wasn't a city of gold, it's a golden idol which was unfortunately moved here from the Spanish because everybody knows that the Spanish ruin everything. With the trail going cold for now, Nate and Sully exit the temple and come across this gorgeous sunset shot of a goddamn World War II Nazi U-boat. This is pretty conflicting. On one hand, this shot is great, but also how the fuck did it get there?
Must have come up the river during flood season and gotten stuck.
That's not how it works, Nate. So Nate finds that the festering fascists were harboring Spanish gold, meaning they were also after El Dorado, even marking a possible location for it on their map. With the trail going warm again, Sully seems to be in a little pickle only because he's the one hanging on to Drake's journal, because of course that's what happens. These guys are our main villains, old associates of Sully, to which Sullivan owes a pretty penny to. Our villains hold Nate and Sully at gunpoint, take the map, kill Sully, a bomb goes off in the U-boat, which means it's time for Nate to run away. And side note, I say our villains because these guys, well, let's just say they're not exactly memorable. I don't remember their names at all. The other games have outstanding villains, but here, I can't remember their names, so I'll just give them made-up names, okay? Ready? This guy's Gabe Newell, and this guy's Uncharted. Anyway, run, Nathan, run! These armed mercenaries are going in, guns blazing, literally, and they're all about to get ya. Don't fret, though, because Elena's here.
That's for leaving me at the dock.
With Sully gone, it boils down to just Nate and Elena as they try to find El Dorado and run from Gabe Newell's henchmen. With the coordinates to the secret hidden island, we do more combat and so we hop on a plane, and unfortunately Gabe Newell beat us to the party, and he brought plenty of anti-aircraft artillery to go around. Now that we're on the island, it's time to look for Elena and... Okay, fine, let's talk about the combat. So it works like this. Nathan can carry 2 weapons at a time, a small weapon like a pistol, and a heavier one like shotguns or assault rifles. You can shoot explosive red barrels, pick weapons and ammo off of defeated enemies, hide under cover with the circle button, and you can grab and throw grenades. Careful not to stay in one spot though, because enemies will throw grenades at you and you will get tinnitus when it happens. Nathan can also throw hands with these guys, with square, triangle, square being an input for a cool finishing move that nets you double the ammo, which is kinda odd to activate. Half of the time I just mash square or alternate between square and triangle like a God of War 1 quick time event. Like the platforming, the gunplay is a good foundation to build upon, but unlike the platforming, the combat is riddled with problems. For one, this is more of a personal gripe than anything, but you can't remap the controls. It's just a quality of life feature that I think every game ever made should have, but what I needed to get used to was using R1 to reload instead of square, which is the punch button. The way it controls is also a big issue. The aiming feels very clumsy even after I mess with the sensitivity. It's a little weird trying to shoot properly thanks to the dogshit aim assist. I also noticed quite a lot of frame drops. Not enough to hinder the entire experience, but they were present and they were noticeable. I hate that I had to turn on motion blur just to slightly fix it. And of course, the worst part about all this is the fact that there's too much combat!
You always seem to be getting shot at.
This island is jam-packed with armed goons, and there's combat every 5 minutes. It can have 2 guys or 20 guys, they just won't fucking stop.
Finally, some platforming. That last encounter took a lot out of... Oh, come on, man!
It doesn't help that most of this section of the game has no funny banter from Nathan, very little music. It's all just unremarkable. Now, again, they did go on to improve, which is awesome, but holy hell did they have a rough start. Why is the silver Inca figure groping its small titties? Did they model this after me? Now, since it'll take a while to get to the next cutscene, let's be positive for a change. This game is very pretty. Naughty Dog did a stellar job in the visual department, and Bluepoint did a stellar job with the remaster. Especially this establishing shot of the jungle. It kinda makes the original look unfinished by comparison. With this game, Naughty Dog saw the visuals and color grading of all the big games released at the time, you know the one, the washed out 7th gen P filter. Uncharted wanted to go against the grain and do something different, something striking and colorful, and props to them.
You know, we looked at what was out there, the landscape of games that were being developed, and everything sort of had this dark and gray or brown look to it. So we wanted to go completely opposite of that, and we wanted to have a game that when somebody just caught it out of the corner of their eye walking past it in the store, they'd be drawn to it right away and just have to check it out and see what's this game all about.
However, if you want the game to look pretty, it would make sense to maybe have some location variety, right? Right? Right, Nathan? Drake's fortune takes place on one singular island. For like 70% of the game, you are either in the jungle or in some abandoned ruins. Sometimes you get both. I understand not wanting to go too crazy with the first entry by confining it to this island, but could they not have come up with anything else? This makes hunting for treasures a lot more tedious since I can barely tell these environments apart half of the time. Ugh. Anyway, after 50 billion enemy encounters, Nate finds the plane wreckage and Elena is nowhere to be seen. We climb some more, we shoot a jeep, then use it as a bridge over a waterfall, and we make it to these ruins. After an hour of mind-numbing bullshit. Did that guy just kill himself? Anyway, the game is good again because we finally have more story stuff. You know, there's a problem when I have more fun watching the cutscenes than, you know, playing the game. There's a mode where you can play the game without cutscenes, and like, it's a good thing Naughty Dog had masochists in mind with this one. Anyway, Nate finds some interesting breadcrumbs left behind by Francis Drake, confirming he did make it to this island. Do you mind? We do some easy puzzles on our way to a big tower. We get keys to open a door. We die twice, actually. I'm just kidding. Nate's in prison now. At long last, Elena is here to save the day, and she was just doing her own thing this whole time, recording footage for her YouTube channel. This was before Patreon existed, so she'll take all the good content she can get. This woman can definitely hold her own.
Traditional sandstone, brick, and stucco. Limestone mortar, huh?
How'd you get to know so much about this?
My show, Episode 4, Architects of a New World.
Speaking of Patreon, don't forget to join mine for cool perks like seeing your name on the end screen, watching videos early, and the ability to vote on art polls. I also have a $10 tier where I can verbally say your username if you join it, which will be at the end of this video. But shameless plug aside, Elena's ready to bust Nate out of the slammer, but not before we're introduced to one of our villains, Eddie Raja.
Eddie Raja. I should have guessed.
Eddie is a far superior villain than these guys. Eddie definitely should have been this game's main villain if you ask me. He's got an actual personality and great voice acting. He's an old business associate of Nathan, as we can see with his introduction. These two have a little bit of rapport going on.
You help me find the treasure, and the last man alive gets the gold. And the girl, of course.
The girl? Oh, Eddie, the girl's long gone. She's probably off the island by now. Going for help.
Daikujin, you were never very good at poker. I will find her. Trust me. How much trouble could one girl be?
This next set piece is a funny little turret section with a grenade launcher and machine gun aboard the Jeep as we kill everyone. This section isn't amazing, but it's definitely much better than the normal combat. It's just exciting and satisfying to see all the armed henchmen explode in a fiery ball of death. I probably sound like a massive psychopath. At the end of the road, Eddie threatens Nate for the map, but Nate decides it would be funnier to go for a swim instead. Well, the Jeep section was fun. Now it's time for my favorite part of the game. Gunplay! Would you guys believe me if I said this game actually gave me a headache while playing?
Oh, God's sake!
Me too, man. Once we get some well-deserved downtime, Nate and Elena talk for a bit as they go over the camera footage. When Nate spots a boat, he remarks that it's their ticket out of here, but Elena pushes to go all in. They've made it this far, so they might as well see this through. Looking back, this kind of surprised me since normally in the other games, Elena is the more sensible one while Nate's always the one getting into stupid trouble. By this point, I collected like 30 out of 60 treasures, so I might as well discuss the bonus content. The more treasures you find in the overworld, the more bonus unlockables will be available in the menus. And man, I gotta say, these bonuses are as charming as God of War 1 in my opinion, and if you've watched my video on it, you'll know that's a good thing. There's alternate costumes, with my favorites being Naughty Dog Drake, Sully, Donut Drake, There's cheats, there's filters, even the 7th gen piss filter is here, that's pretty funny. And of course, the two big things, a viewable gallery for the concept art and documentaries on the games behind the scenes. As I said in the God of War video, this is super charming and I wish games still did this. Apparently the PS3 version has medals unlocking bonuses instead of the treasures. Medals are essentially in-game achievements earned by doing a variety of tasks, and the original version just had treasures unlock certain medals. Sounds a little bit odd in my opinion, so it's a good thing the remaster streamlines things a little bit. After this video, I'm probably never touching the first game again, so I hope I can keep this treasure hunting energy up. Now, you might be wondering why I'm talking about the bonus content smack dab in the middle of a cutscene. It's because I don't want to talk about the jet ski! So, Nate and Elena go on a jet ski and ride through the ruins of a lost civilization while dealing with armed goons along the way. There's bread barrels, you're armed with a grenade launcher, and whenever you're on the jet ski, the game takes a massive nosedive in quality. I don't know what's worse, the combat or the jet ski. The controls here are clunky and really stupid. It feels very awkward merely trying to steer and aim. And you want to know the worst part? This isn't even the low point of the game. There are 2 of these sections. That's right, 2 of them. I wrote 3 in the script. I guess I must have miscounted or something. Anyway, afterward, what's next? Oh right, more combat. And then afterward, more jet ski. Oh, what's wrong, Nathan? Are you sleepy? Are you ready to go to sleep? I apologize for the outburst. It was rather uncouth of me. We now return to your regularly scheduled Uncharted 1 gameplay. Nate and Elena make it to a room full of ship records of this lost civilization, which apparently just disappeared someday out of nowhere. A quick look at the records show that El Dorado was shipped here, with the records mysteriously going blank afterward. By this point, the game is practically telling us something not right is going on here. The Nazis aboard the U-boat were, quote, ripped to shreds. Eddie talks about how his crew is constantly at risk on this island, and of course this ancient city that was suddenly abandoned after El Dorado got here. There's definitely something wrong with that golden idol, but as to what exactly it is, we'll see later.
That somebody special?
What? Oh. Yeah. I guess you could say that.
Huh. I had you pegged as more of a woman in every port kind of guy.
Don't I wish? No, this was Francis Drake's ring. I, kind of inherited it.
Sic Parvis Magna?
Greatness from small beginnings. It was his motto. Check out the date.
29th of January, 1596.
One day after he supposedly died.
Wait, what are these numbers right here?
Coordinates. Right off the coast of Panama.
Oh, so that's how you found the coffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, I love the cutscenes. They're so charming. Okay, back to torture. More like greatness from shit beginning. In a surprise turn of events, Nate and Elena find out that Sully is still alive, meaning he just walked off being shot in the fucking chest, I guess. We'll get to that a little bit later, but for now, this wooden bridge looks pretty sturdy. It would be a shame if it tore up when we're in the middle of walking on it. What can you do? Elena drops her camera so she can get to safety, meaning her YouTube career is officially over. What a sad day indeed. When Nate and Elena reunite with Sully, there's a little tension going on, but it's all okay. Sully had Drake's diary in his breast pocket, and that's what tanked the bullet.
No way. Old Francis took a bullet for you.
Yeah.
I thought this kind of thing only happened in the movies.
Yeah, well, it still hurt like a son of a bitch, I'll tell you that.
I bet.
Anyway.
Which sounds like a load of bullshit. Are you trying to tell me that thin wad of paper stopped a bullet that shot him from a gun? Whatever. Sully's been sending the boring wet blanket villains on a wild goose chase this whole time, waiting to reunite with Nate and Elena. I knew he was a real one, and now that our trio is all together again, it's time to look for a secret tunnel within this ruined library. I can practically taste El Dorado, but hang on, I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Of course, we have a certain section to do before meeting up with Sully. Do my eyes deceive me? It must be a Christmas miracle. It's the one and only bona fide, tried and true motherfucking goddamn jet ski. I already expressed my disdain for the crappy controls and overall anti-fun factor of the jet ski. Well, the good news is this is the last we ever see from it. The bad news though, this is the worst part in the entire game. Hey kiddo, do you like awkward steering?
This time, I drive.
How about you try the jet ski going upstream? Doesn't that sound like a blast and a half? Speaking of blast, that grenade launcher was pretty useful. It would be a damn shame if I just replaced it with a tiny little pistol. Holy shit, is that a red barrel? I think I'm losing the will to live. So anyway, back to the library, we do another piss easy puzzle and unlock an underground passage named the Land of the Dead. Unfortunately, Nate goes it alone, but the game makes up for the lack of funny banter with the age-old video game tradition of a secret treasure behind a waterfall. Never mind, I hate this game! I will say though, as dogshit as the combat is, it's cool they keep introducing new weapons and enemies to freshen things up a bit. At this point in the game, we get sniper enemies, we get to wield a sniper ourselves, as well as a Desert Eagle pistol. It's pretty cool, I guess. So, at this point, the game is kind of a blur in my head. I think Nate goes into this abandoned cathedral. Eddie is still complaining to this guy about his men dying. I died, for sure, plenty of times. Skipping ahead, Nate and Elena make it to the most interesting find of their journey thus far, the corpse of Sir Francis Drake himself. On his voyage looking for El Dorado, he met his end deep within these catacombs, seemingly failing on his mission after coming this close. Crushed by this revelation, Nate leaves him his ring before moving on. Except I'm totally lying, Francis Drake did succeed on his mission. How so? Well, let's just let Eddie explain.
Can you see them?
Oh no. Oh God, no.
We're trapped.
Jesus, what is that?
We're dead. We're all dead.
Eddie, get back here! Oh, crap.
Jake, if we don't make it out of here, I just want you to know, I hate your guts.
Yep, the game's been pretty grounded in reality for the most part, but now we have literal zombies. I remember when I first played this game, this genuinely shocked me and scared me. Jesus, look at that thing. This next part is another combat one, but it's actually kind of fun. We get to team up with Eddie as we're introduced to the zombies. They're a lot more animalistic than the usual armed gunman enemy, crawling around on all fours, always running towards you. Melee combat is useless against them, with guns being your best friend. There's no cover here at all, so you need to constantly be on the move. It can get pretty hectic, but as long as we have our good pal Eddie with us, there's no threat we can't handle. After running away from the zombies with Elena, they take refuge in a Nazi harbor, and Nate decides to go to the generator room to turn the power back on in hopes to escape. This section is easily the highlight of the game for me. It's pretty damn creepy. It's almost like a horror game now. Running around these dark and disgusting corridors while gunning down these creepy monsters. I hate that I always compare everything to Resident Evil, but look, I'm just saying. After turning the power back on and fighting for my life, oh my god, Nate comes across an old projector, and this is where the story really comes together. El Dorado isn't valuable merely for its gold, but rather the curse that lies beneath it. Long ago, when the Spanish took El Dorado, they opened it up, turning into the terrible monsters we've become acquainted with. Really? I thought the Spanish just looked like that. Francis Drake made it his mission to keep it from getting out of the island, and he succeeded for a time. The curse took out both the Spaniards and the Nazis, and now that Gabe Newell is searching for El Dorado, who knows what might happen if it gets out into the world. At this point in the game, I grabbed enough treasures to unlock the Elena skin. Who can be trusted? Oh, speaking of Elena, she's kidnapped by the bad guys now.
Keep smiling, asshole.
To rescue Elena, Nate and Sully backtrack to the previous area, and would you look at that, all 61 treasures have been collected. Woohoo! I'm so glad I never have to play this game ever again. Let's finish this, shall we? Yeah, we're already at the final area. This was pretty short, all things considered. It's like 5 hours long, I think. Anyway, the villains got El Dorado, and Thing 1 tricks Thing 2 into opening it up. Oh no, he's a zombie now. Whatever. Nate and Sully crash the party. We climb aboard the gold statue being taken by a helicopter, and now a goon shoots Nate. Elena kicks him over, crashing the helicopter, and we land on the villain's boat for the final boss. Or lack thereof. Spoilers, but every one of these has a dogshit final boss except for maybe 4. Here, the forgettable villain has a sniper, so we need to avoid him while we take cover behind these not-so-durable boxes and shoot the armed goons. If you try to aim for the bad guy, dodge incorrectly, or sneeze a little funny, he will kill you in one hit. When you kill all the enemies, he skedaddles to the next area, rinse and repeat. When we make it to the final helicopter pad, our gun is taken away, so we need to stay under cover while he shoots. Then you do a quick time event, and congrats! You beat Uncharted 1! What a dog shit finale. With John Charted drowning to his demise along with the cursed gold of El Dorado, Nate and Elena have a little moment now that the fight is over. Even if Elena couldn't get her story, she recovered Drake's ring for Nate, and the gang aren't going home empty-handed.
You two got a funny idea of romantic.
Sully! Wow, you look like hell.
You should see the other guys. Got us a boat.
We already have a boat.
Yeah, big boat.
I like this one better.
Sully, you beautiful son of a bitch!
Borrowed it off a couple of pirates who were too dead to care.
Sorry you didn't get your story.
Well, that's all right. There'll be other stories. You still owe me one.
I'm good for it.
And that was Uncharted 1. No, seriously, it ends pretty abruptly. Oof. This game was rough, man. It's very surprising they managed to get a sequel, because if you look at this game, the locations are all a blur in your head, the combat is frustrating, the game is only 5 hours long, and worst of all, Eddie died! But despite its shortcomings, this game still has its merits. Good story, great performances, serviceable platforming for the most part, and it succeeded in making us care for a senile con man, a washed-up journalist, and everyone's favorite 2-bit thief. And really, this game is where one of my favorite gaming series of all time got its start, so it kinda needed to exist. With that said, I'm never playing this game ever again, and if you guys ever play it, you can skip to the second game if you don't really vibe with it. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notif bell, and follow me on my other socials to keep up with my other stuff. Special thanks to Kritten10, Sky, Roxy J, and Brandon Smith for being $10 supporters. It means a lot. Oh man, I so can't wait to talk about Uncharted 2. It's gonna be so fun. More fucking combat? The game just ended though.